Welcome to episode 6 of the Nessynergy Podcast. Before we get started, we have to pay the bills. Let me read to you a response that I need to read here from our newest sponsor. Hello, please come in. We have been expecting you. You are safe inside of here. This is where the magic is. Outside of here is where they lied to you. It is where they hurt you. So come and play. Come and eat. Come and party. Forget all the pain and lies the world told you, and never go back. We want you to stay here. Stay here and never leave. Your soul belongs to us now. Chuck E. Cheese's, where a kid can be a kid. Make sure that when you go in there, you tell them that Nessynergy Podcast sent you, and you'll get 10% off of your next birthday party. And Chucky will probably touch your kid in a totally appropriate way. With that being said, I am your friendly neighborhood entity, Veritas, a.k.a. the king, magician, warrior, and lover, a.k.a. V for Viagra, because I bring growth. You know what I'm talking about? Passing it off to the left. Who we got here today with us?
Yo, I just want to say, for the first 5 or 6 sentences of your intro, I thought it was about Knucklehead's wife's pussy. That's a pretty ill sponsor.
So y'all see, we got the resident assassin back with us, Mr. Vic. How you doing, man?
I'm chilling. Just your local Hayes hero, sour diesel savant, hustle till arthritis. Y'all already know I'm back. Might not be here next week, but I'm here right now.
Amen, brother Ben. Who else we got? We got the infamous Anthony Colavito, tickets to the gun show. What's up, Ant?
Bangarang, baby. Bow! What up?
Everybody's in good spirits today. You see that through the magic of technology. I am literally in the woods talking to you, feeling the vibe, the Shinrin Yoku. Vic, it was told to me that you had some stuff you wanted to get off of your chest, so we don't really have an agenda for this meeting of ours, this podcast. I just figure that, you talk about what you want to talk about, and we'll chime in,
Yep.
See where it takes us.
You know what's better than spending all your money at the strip club?
What's that, man?
Spending it on Backpage.
Spending it on what?
You don't know what that is. Anthony knows what that is. For those who know, they know. Nah, but that...
I can't hear you so well. What did you say? Spending it on what?
Backpage.
Backpage.
If Otto's tuned in, he already knows about them Backpage hoes.
Word.
Oh, okay.
What
So
y'all
is
think
this
about that Jay-Z album? If I could start off with that, because that's where I got that from. That's that new song he got. That shit. Are y'all familiar with that?
No.
Yeah, I'm listening to that album right now.
It's where he tells the dirt people and black people how to live their lives correctly and actually to buy some property and shit. Like, we didn't know this.
Yeah, which one is that? OJ, I think?
Yeah, the story of OJ.
Yeah. The only thing I don't like, I wish he would just banged that track out, though. He just mumbles over it. Left such a bad taste in my mouth, but everything he's saying is fire on it.
It's sad that the best verse on the album is from Blue Ivy. Apparently, you haven't heard that either. She got like a minute rap on his album. She rapped like she's fucking Little Uzi.
Oh, yeah, the bonus track.
The mumble rap. Shit.
Which one are you talking about?
The one with his daughter that's rapping.
Yeah. The blues freestyle or whatever.
Yeah. It's a shame she raps better than half the site. It's pretty disturbing.
She was doing like, man, that shit made me kind of nervous. She was doing like some voodoo witchcraft verses or some Jamaican devilry. I don't even know what it was, man. That shit was scary.
She had some bars, nigga. She said some shit like, I never seen a ceiling. I don't know what that meant, but that shit was hard. I was like, okay.
I don't have the bonus tracks on this shit that I'm listening to in my car. Otherwise, I put it on. But yeah, man, her verse would like scared me, man. It was like some Illuminati shit channeled through him and her fucking dad and mom. This shit was scary.
Yes, sir.
So how old is she now?
4.
Yikes, man.
Well, I don't know. I thought I saw 5 on the old interwebs. I don't know if that's true or not.
Well, I wonder what motivates Jay-Z now. I mean, he no longer really needs the money or the name. I mean, is he still doing it for the love? And I'm asking like a complete noob. I haven't listened to a Jay-Z album in years.
He decided to make a Nas album.
No, okay, what does that mean? Didn't him and Nas have beef?
By that I mean that he's trying to get conscious now. He's rapping about the shit Nas been rapping about for his last 2 albums. It's just nobody listens to Nas. So now everyone feels like Jay-Z has made the first conscious rap album ever. You know what I mean? But this has been happening.
Oh, okay. I see. So now I can talk on that a little bit. Number one, I'd like to put Nas over in that he was great in the movie Belly. If you haven't seen the movie Belly, I highly recommend it. It's a fascinating movie. A lot of good messages in that.
That's a classic. That's like the hood.
Where did Vic go? Anthony, Vic, are you there? Are y'all there? Hey, Vic, you there?
I'm there, man.
Oh, I wonder what happened. Can you hear me?
Phone call.
Okay.
But I'm gonna join back in the podcast in like 20 minutes. So y'all just keep going.
Is Anthony there?
He's not, but I gotta dip real quick, man. But I'll be back. I'll be right back.
Okay. So, sometimes life happens, people. Sometimes you have plans and things change. What do? Do you fall apart at the seams? Do you cry over spilled milk? Do you take your ball and go home? Do you do all these other proverbial things that people do? You could. It's a free world. You have that choice. As for me, I'm going to keep this show rolling. There's no dead air. I've never been one to fall at the face of adversity. So I don't know where Anthony went. And Vic has a phone call that's going to take 20 minutes. Fair enough. So, Netsies, let's talk. There's some things that I'll get off my chest while we're doing this, and I plan to be both educational and informative and entertaining. So with that being said, I am officially putting myself into the Hall of Fame. It's a fact. I spent the last few days going through old posts from years ago. And I came to a... Oh, there's Anthony. So Anthony, Vic had a phone call and he said he'll be back in about 10, 15, 20 minutes. So I was fixing to go on an ego-filled diatribe, and I'm thinking about not doing that now that you're back and we can talk about other things.
Or you're just gonna start rattling off a fucking sermon?
Yeah. Well, I was gonna talk pretty much how I'm putting myself in the Hall of Fame. It's a fact. Well,
that's interesting. I guess we should talk about that.
Well,
under what circumstances have you qualified yourself for this self-nomination?
Well, I figure it's like this. I figure that in this game that we are partaking in, I've been a fixture for what year is this? 2017? For close to 20 years, which is both pathetic and amazing. I'm like the Undertaker, man. I've had no time off. Never no-showed a battle. Always been there. Been years ahead of my time. I went back through and looked at some old posts, and from years ago, and I've been pushing the envelope of this thing for years, and I hate to even bring this up, but the battles that you and I had, if you go back and look at them now in light of where we are now, it's freaking amazing, man. Beautiful, great. I also looked at some threads where pretty much no one can cut me down on there. And I know that sounds really egotistical, but I promise, Netsies, this is confidence. So listen to your feelings, listen to your heart, see if what it tells you is true. Veritas Hall of Fame. Maybe not for battling in the classical sense, but certainly for just overall.
I was going to say currently the only entrants that we have for the Hall of Fame are more so in there for writing, which right. You're not a bad writer, but in either realm, I think that there's a lot of people better than you in battling and in topicals.
That's fair. It's mostly on the strength of my character and on the discussion board.
Yeah. be a Hall of Fame for the discussion board. I think we've tried to pose that a couple times, and it really just ends up turning into just huge 500-page threads where people just try to validate themselves, and then we never do it.
Yeah, and I know that I don't want this to turn into that. The thought crossed my mind after going back and looking at some previous work.
Any posts in specific that come to mind that brought this?
Well, of course, you and I pretty much beefed for years. Everyone knows that. I beefed with Victor for years. I beefed with everybody for years. And I pretty much for about 5 straight years, the formula is someone would attack me and then I would just wear them down. And that's it. If there was a battle record for the discussion board, I'm either number 1 or top 3. And anybody who's saying, get out of here with that, just, step up, challenge me. Diode, is this heel enough for you? I played the heel and the face to just as good, if not anyone. And I believe that I set the template for a lot of those who came after me. Our friend Pancake Bra was even accused of being me when he first started. So I'm just going to put that out there. I'm glad that you're back so we don't have to listen to me talk about this for 30 minutes. But it is what it is, and that's all I got to say.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's interesting the way that you're I thought about your character the other day and just how draining I think it would be for me because you weren't ever really well received until, recently doesn't seem fair, but I'd say in the last couple of years. Your first handful of years were pretty not well received by anybody, which would be pretty draining, I would imagine.
See, I fed off of that, Anthony. I fed off of it. It motivated me, and that's something that we can teach all the young boarders, all the new boarders who come through. You got to have some kind of vision. You got to have some kind of idea of what it is that you're trying to do. Why are you even on the board? Is it your Facebook, or is it something greater than that? I think my overall mantra is that I only tried to talk about what I knew. And if I knew that I knew, I wasn't going to let anybody throw me, like calling me a faggot or making fun of me for being bald or a fat wife or any of that. Those are just words, I think that I have set the template for how to engage in arguments there and psychological warfare. So, that's me pandering and me basically putting myself over, which is a rookie tactic, I know, but it's the first thing that popped in my head when I thought I was going to be running this podcast solo. So, Anthony, I'm glad that you're here, like I said. And I just want to, just put that out there, Netsies. Veritas, the captain of the board, Hall of Fame, whether he's official or not, I'm just putting that out there. And I love all you guys. So, Anthony, can we talk about the strength? Can we talk about the strength of veganism?
Yeah, I figured that would come up. I was gonna compliment you on your vegan troll thread as I was in it being trolled, even after you forewarned us that you were going to troll us with your vegan troll, and I was this close to letting Mike Booth ruin my afternoon yesterday.
I'm glad you didn't. And also the whole idea of the whole trollception, the troll within the troll within the troll. That's also just something I've been doing for years, ladies and gentlemen. But now that I say it, does it even matter? Does it make it any less real? I don't know. Bags, to be serious, man, I'm legit gonna try it. I was pretty much astounded when I went to the doctor for my checkup a few months ago, and I found out that my cholesterol was high, like hyperlipidemia level. Not like I'm gonna have a heart attack tomorrow, not like I'm or anything, but it was high. I was like, man, I can run miles, I can lift weights, and that kind of got me thinking. So I did the ketogenic stuff, and I lost weight, but the cholesterol is still high. So my research has led me to veganism for high cholesterol. I'm going to do that for a month and try it, and I'll keep y'all posted. But I mean, Bags, to be totally honest, man, it's like if I got to choose strength gains over health, I can't, man. I can't do that no more. And I hope that you guys respect that. And if y'all want to troll me for that, I will humbly take the beating. But I am being 100% serious.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I think the whole idea, obviously, of working out is to, first and foremost is to, create physical fitness and health. So, I mean, one of the only reasons really why I still even powerlift is because I'm able to still maintain a healthy lifestyle while building strength simultaneously. So, I mean, if it came to a point where the strength training would be inhibiting my health, or I wasn't able to pursue the strength training and still pursue my health, I would obviously just drop it. I mean, nobody gives a fuck how strong you are aside from like a few guys in the gym anyways. It's like
right. And I sit here and I really think about it, and what I'm not going to do, and I mean this, and if I ever even come close to doing it, somebody remind me of this. The last thing I want to do is be a hipster about it. Shout outs to Mike Booth. I don't think that people who don't eat animals are superior in any way. I do believe that human beings are on the top of the food chain. I think that I can think that and also respect life. I don't think that it has to be one or the other, where it's, oh, you're the top of the food chain, so that must mean it's okay to torture animals. No, I mean, it's different. It's apples and oranges. I believe that we're the top of the food chain, and still and yet I think that we don't have to torture animals. But at the same time, if the crap hits the fan, brother, and I got to eat, my family has to eat, I'm fixing to go out in these woods behind me and kill a deer. You know what I mean? I'm going to murk that joker. You know what I mean? So ultimately, the lesson is that when it comes to your nutrition plan, it's a matter of conscience. Whatever you feel is best for you, that's what it is, and you don't need to try to push it on anybody. So I'm just keeping y'all posted on what I'm going through, trying to get healthier, and y'all eat whatever y'all want to eat. Shout out to and Stricta and whoever else is eating like a savage. I guess I'm eating like a hipster, so I can't judge.
It's like a piece of shit who wants to die when he's 39. He's fucking 100 fucking Tostino mini pockets and fucking just like a potato, like sitting in front of his fucking virtual reality porno, beating off and fucking smashing his goddamn beat maker, trying to fucking make Kanye West beats in 2017.
Isn't there something that is very subtly admirable about his life, though? I mean, where he's just kind of his own man. Is that giving him too much credit? Shout out to by the way.
I think anybody that has ever read an philosophy on life has been like, you know what? Like I could see that, because I mean he is. I mean he is very confident in who he is, but I just don't think that he'll be able to sustain that for very long. I feel like his mind frame on that will change. I mean, I feel like he's just still really young, but I mean, his confidence is through the roof, and I mean, that's absolutely admirable.
Sure. It's just as we get older. I just turned 35 not too long ago. It's like as something clicked when I hit 35. It's hard to explain, but the idea of health and better choices and investing money, things like that, kind of kicked in. Speaking of investing money, I got a call from NYC Spitz, and it was fascinating. This dude, we give him a lot of crap, but he was pretty smart, man. He was talking to me about this investment stuff, and just, I mean, mind blown. So NYC, if you ever want to come on the podcast and talk for a few minutes on some investment strategies, you had my attention, man. I had no idea what you were talking about, and that makes me want to learn. Anthony, do you do any kind of investing?
No, I don't. Big Baby told me that NYC Spitz is actually Arrow.
If NYC Spitz is actually Arrow, then he sounds Filipino also, which confirms the theory. And then I have to also give shout outs to Arrow. He knows what he's talking about investing. So
yeah, any type of investing. I don't really have. I'm still trying to actually manage my existing finances to a point where I can actually have some type of overflow. So getting there though.
Okay, so do you find that it's currently kind of like 3 steps back, so to speak?
What'd you say?
Do you find that it is currently like you take a couple steps forward and then get knocked back down?
Yeah. Well, I mean, with everything in life, honestly, I mean, there's always going to be problems. I think it's just depending on what type of scenarios you're putting yourself in, it'll be the type of problems that you have that'll change. The better your problems become, the better you'll become, and the stronger you'll be from solving them. So
well said. That was very well said. You know, you bring that up. I think that's a worthy point to unpack. Are your problems getting more complex? Are your problems staying the same? If your problems are staying the same, then that's a huge problem. But if your problems are growing in complexity and if they're growing in difficulty, then that's actually a good sign. You know, no one should ever run from the problems in their life, and that's unfortunately something that a lot of us do. I've been trying to invest. Do you have a 401k option at your work?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, do you feed it?
Would you say, did I read it?
Do you feed it? Do you invest in it?
I haven't decided. Well, I think there's like a when you start, there's like a minimum cost share that they like force on you anyway. So I think I have that, but I've been meaning to like actually like read into it and actually like offer a bigger percentage into it. I don't like currently.
Yeah, it's highly recommended. It grows pretty quickly, especially if your employer does some sort of matching program.
Yeah, I think after 5 years you invest it and then they match. Well, I think they match the whole time, but then after 5 years, when you become vested, then you can inherit what they paid for that 5 years or something like that.
All right, that's pretty cool. And how's your work going, man? What's going on?
Work's good, man. I mean, I don't know if I've really ever explained what I do at work to old net.
You read a lot of books.
right. Like that's the bulk of it. I just kind of I eat 4 times while I'm at work. And like you say that, but I'm not sure that really everyone appreciates how much actual time away from work that takes to do.
Right. So,
probably hours.
Do you prep your meals?
I don't do that. You know, I know all the like fitness fucking web pages and everything's like meal prep Sunday, and you know, like sit in the fucking kitchen and pick 27 Tupperwares for Monday to Friday and Tuesday tomato week, and like, man, fuck you. If I had to do a fucking meal prep day for a Sunday, I'd have a panic attack. Like, who the fuck wants to stay in the kitchen and cook a fucking 1,000 meals and then shove them in the Tupperwares? And then where do you fucking put them? You fucking jam your fridge full of like, it looks like a goddamn fucking mortuary in there. No, I don't do that shit. Here's what I do though. Here's what I do. I'll cook my protein in bulk. So I'll probably eat like 10 pounds of chicken a week, and 2 times during a week, I'm getting a message from Philip says, "What the fuck are you guys talking about?"
How did you get that message? Is there any way that he can join us?
Yeah, I think so. Just invite him. I called him accidentally when I tried to tap into this call.
All right, let's see.
But so to finish that thought though, so I'll cook on the grill. I'll cook like 5 pounds of chicken, and then all I have to do is prepare like sides. So like pasta, fucking, you know, take
boil some pasta. I'll boil like a whole box of pasta too, and then I could just eat that all week. But sides and stuff are easy. Oatmeal is easy. Oh shit, Phil!
So this is going to be round 2 of Phil and Bags trying to become buddies. You know, Phil. Last time Anthony was kind of upset. He thought that you were showing special heart privilege to Vic and not to him. So can we square that up right quick first?
Yeah, dude. I'm sorry. I didn't know you felt that way, man. Shit.
Well,
I was thinking about that like a couple days ago. I was like, he really did seem hurt about that. But
I mean,
I don't want to steal your thunder. You were talking about what? Sorry, go ahead.
So I was gonna say, well, I'll just explain to you where I was coming from, and you let me know how you feel. So I was like excited. Like we talked a little bit before the podcast. I was like, man, cool, Phil. You know, like I like meeting new people, talking to them, and we talked and it was fine. And even up to the podcast, like until Vic got on the call, like it was like it was good. And you were kind of subdued. Then like Vic gets on the call and it's like a whole new fucking Phil. You were so inspired by Vic and just had all these wonderful things to say that you're intrigued for his character, and just intrigues were shown towards my own personality.
Did you feel rejected, Anthony? Did you feel rejected?
I felt slighted.
Slighted. How do you respond to that, Phil?
You were just a jerk. Like that was your character. Like, and you've had times where you've directed that jerkness towards me. So you kind of had this character, and I wasn't intrigued by that character because the character was just fucking a jerk to me. Kind of like the whole Arrow thing. Like, I don't get it. Like, I feel like Arrow knows that he's not going to get the response that he wants from me. So I feel like a lot of his comments are actually to get the response from like everybody else. You know what I mean? Like, I think he wants like lulz and shit. Anyway, back to the Hush thing though. Like, yeah, you were a jerk. Like, I kind of figured out, all right, he's a fucking jerk. Meanwhile, Hush was more unknown to me. It's like he just had like 2-3 word responses, and like everybody seemed afraid of him. And then I see him on the podcast, and he's fucking articulate and talking and saying all this shit in a bunch of words, and I don't know, it was just different. I was like, huh. I thought that was fucking.
Yeah, no, I could dig it. I could see where you're coming from, and it's funny because I remember you had said that talking, and I thought about it, and it's interesting to me because that's like the Vic that kind of identify with currently, but the Vic that I knew boarded often and boarded heavily.
Yeah.
He was a moderator on the site. I mean, he was the first one who was giving people accomplishments and changing people's names and just.
I think he banned me a couple times. Yeah.
Right. He was the first fucking person to abuse mod powers. I mean, like he stage for all of that shit, and I guess like a lot of people just don't remember it. So like the Victor I remember was like fucking level 99, like just I don't know, like the newer laid back Victor is just a Victor that doesn't identify him with.
Oh shit. Well, sorry, I didn't mean to crash your podcast, guys. But did you see my comment?
Let's see.
Is it Burritos or Veritas?
Yeah. It says, WTF are you guys talking about? We're talking about all kind of things, man. We really didn't have an agenda for this podcast. It was going to be kind of based around Vic being back on the podcast, and then Vic was on the podcast for 5 minutes, and he's like, I got a phone call. I'll be back in 20 minutes. So, I spent about 10 minutes putting myself over for the Hall of Fame. We talked about the veganism. We were talking about health. I mean,
that's what I was actually talking about. I was trying to, because I was watching you guys like a few minutes in, I guess, and you were talking about your, you said your cholesterol was up.
Yeah.
I when I asked, like, did you read my comment? I meant like about the apples, because like I know like this vegetarian dude, and he was like, when I first like made the transition, I would crave like heavy meats and stuff. So I was like, yeah, just get a bunch of apples. He said that helps. So I was just
Yes.
wondering if you read that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I did. Thank you. It's only been 2 days into it, and I have had some apples, and that has helped. I went to the store today, and there's like all kind of crazy vegetarian stuff, man. It like looks like meat. So it's like I got some of these vegetarian burgers, and I'm gonna cook them up later and see. I have no expectations. I'm
So-
pretty much.
That was
What's
your
that?
first. That was your first time having apples. I mean,
No,
maybe
I mean
that's-
I've had apples before, but I mean with using it to satiate myself instead of eating a burger. I mean, growing up in New Orleans, man, I ate like a savage, and I think probably all the food and all the drugs and alcohol that I did growing up probably is now wreaking havoc on my body now. Perhaps I don't know. So I'm trying to get healthy. Shout outs to man, I could you this could be us, but you playing. Get your health up, brother. I want to make sure that you're okay, and you can bless us with Game of Thrones references for many years to come. Phil, how's it going over there with you, man? I mean, I'm glad that you're here. This is random. I'm glad. Hopefully again too.
I'm doing pretty good, man. I made a thread about the dad tip stuff, but like it's really starting to click now. You know what I mean? Like I'm actually starting to have like establish a relationship of like peace as well as authority with this child. Like she's finally given this to me, and like I'm learning little tips and tricks and things like that. So I'm feeling pretty good, man. Like about that particular aspect of like my life and like that particular relationship. Like it feels pretty good, man. Like I'm getting ready to go to welding school. I got all my shit here.
Good.
You know what I'm saying? Like feeling pretty good about myself.
Yeah.
Listen, so I wanted to answer your question from your dad tips thread. I was going to type something up, but you had said in there, you were like, man, I thought this would go over well more. I thought this would go over better with all the dad threads. Why it didn't. All the dads that are making those threads, they don't have kids that are as old as the kid that you're dealing with. All theirs are infants, so they don't have any fucking idea. Dads that have had kids that are around the age of yours, wrong, that we just don't give a fuck to talk about it anymore.
Oh.
So, and maybe that's wrong, but that's my like idea on it. Like I hate seeing the dad threads. Like I get like it's cool, it's fun and new and exciting for you, but like I'm like 8 years deep in the game. Like it's like I don't talk about parenting strategies. People don't even like. I don't know. I feel like anytime you get into like a parenting conversation with another parent, it never really goes well, anyways.
Yeah, Batty and I have had a lot of good conversations about it. We're both raising teenagers. His actually just went off to college, and I mean, you talk about like a surreal moment. You know what I mean? And like it's like watching your kids grow up, and then like watching your friends' kids grow up. The preteen level is another level. That's like when it kicks in. Like female for daughters, like 11. That's like another level, and then like 13 or 14. That's another level. Once the boys start happening, and you're no longer like the center of the universe. It's tricky, So Phil, I mean, just get in there and have a good rapport. Let her see that you love her mom, and that'll be good. And if she ever can say, well, you're not my daughter, and see how that goes. Yeah.
Dude,
I feel like
And then
too, and maybe this isn't my place, but since we're talking about it, some of the other comments in there that kind of, I think maybe it was Ilnika said, like that's not your place. I mean, it does seem, been dating. I don't think you've said even a year. It does kind of feel a little bit early for you to be inserting yourself in such a way, or at least that's how it feels to me. I don't know.
On New Year's, we would have been in a relationship for 2 years. I've only lived out here for 3 months. And I'm not trying to assert myself as father. I'm trying to assert myself as a stepdad. So, like, I really don't get involved, like, heavily very much. Like when things like James said he gets involved when it's like nuclear mode. Like, so in the mornings, if the kid is like just not cooperating and like mom is like starting to get pissed off, I'll come in, I'll grab the kid, and I'll help get the kid ready, because the kid will respond to me because she's already not syncing with mom, So
Yeah.
I'm not
Right,
trying
I
to be
feel you.
or anything like that. I'm just trying to like help where I can. You know what I mean? That's it.
Yeah, plus I think the fact that you live there too makes a huge difference. I mean, obviously you're going to have to interact with the child like one way or the other. So I think that makes that was another thing I thought too, like in defense of, you taking on whatever role it is that, the stepfather role that you're talking about. I mean, you being a fixture in that house, you have to do something or the other. So from your position, I saw that as a defense.
Well, I also responded to Ilnika's thing, and like, I'm not offended by the fact that I'm not her dad. I can't wait for her to say that I'm not her dad, so I can sarcastically take her to the bathroom. We can look at each other in the mirror and go, "I'm not your dad for real." No way.
Yeah, man.
I'm black.
That's funny.
I'm black. You're not. Like,
Right.
That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't ever have. Well, I had a stepdad like later on in life, like when I was like, God, I don't even know, like 20 maybe or something like that. But then, like, I think I moved out before he even had moved in. Like, and so it wasn't like some people grow up with a step parent and they kind of become their parent. I never had anything like that personally, so it's not something I easily could identify with.
well, I had a stepdad. He came in the picture when I was like 7 or 8, and the dude was just fucking there. Like, that was it. Like, he was a fixture in the house, but he was more like a older brother that wasn't as witty, So like we would have back and forths, and like that was the extent of our relationship. Like he would literally tell my mom when I was like being a smartass and shit. Like he would tattle on me, and he was just there, dude. He was just there. He paid the bills and like he worked, and then told me I was a scumbag. Like
Word.
So
That's
I'm not
good.
trying to be that guy. Like I want to be somewhat involved, not too involved. Like I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out how to drive.
It was just base your actions off your past.
Yeah, because I know what he meant to me, and I know what he did and what he didn't do. And like he was just there, dude. He was just fucking there, and like I don't want to. I don't know. I feel like, especially, yeah, a kid this age, like there's still some molding that can happen, and like, I don't know.
It's nothing that you want to rush. You take it day by day, and
Right.
As the days become weeks and the weeks become months and the months become years, then all of a sudden, there's a real bond of love there. And I got to bring up something Batty said also. He and I, we talk a lot about life and stuff, and he was talking about his, shout outs to Batty, by the way. He was talking about how, he and his dad, they didn't have the best relationship, but he and his stepdad had one. And he's like, man, I realized that my stepdad, he didn't love me because he had to. He loved me because he chose to. And like, once I figured that out, that was like a whole different level, So he's like, I had mad respect for him. But I mean, it's probably going to take kids a while to get that. So just let her see that you love her mom and you're not going anywhere, and that'll be. Oh, and also, don't ever bury the biological father. You're going to have to fight that because you're going to want to. Hey, your dad, he's a scumbag, but don't do that. Wait, what? You were breaking up, Anthony.
I was breaking up for that loud ass shit.
Yeah, what'd you say?
Here's your real dad, bitch. That could be a good response when she says you're not my dad. Yeah. I'd like in every lifetime ever, they're always just like, that's right, I'm not your dad. Your dad's a fucking crack addict and he ran out on your mother. Ah!
Nah, man, I'm pretty chill, dude. I'm pretty chill. The kid's
chill, Phil.
The kid is opening up, now. Like she'll come like lay on me and shit. Like, so it's a slow process, and like I'm appreciating little fucking victories that I got with her, and like I don't know, like I don't think I'm rushing anything, and like I'm not pushing any sort of agenda. It's just like when I hit this new level, I'm like, oh shit, I got to think about other things to do to like keep it going and like me learning, So that was
Right.
I made the thread or whatever. But I'm gonna get out of here. Sorry I crashed you guys' podcast, but
All right. Well,
potatoes.
protect your limited data, Phil.
No, man. Man, we got fucking Wi-Fi now, bro. So.
Oh snap! See,
Yeah,
look at that, man. Nessynergy. We're moving up, moving onward and upward. Good luck with the welding, Phil. Thanks for stopping by, brother.
I'm gonna continue watching you guys if I can do something funny. All right.
Oh yeah, we might, man. This is kind of a serious episode today. Plans change, but maybe we'll be funny. We'll see.
All right, guys.
All right.
Thanks for calling me and shit.
All right, brother.
Man.
All right. So, Anthony, in the spirit of doing something funny, we should have thought about this. Some of the stuff we said to each other years ago was freaking hilarious. Okay. I mean, like, we were mean to each other. Oh. And I was pretty aggravating to you. Like I was reading some of the stuff and I was like, man, if I was Anthony, I'd be freaking pissed at this guy. This guy's an aggravation. Like every fourth post, I'd be like, hey man, just call me, let's be friends. So that, and you were like, you effing bald weirdo. I'm never calling you, but that's why I was saying, man, it's all prophetic, it's all come together. But like, I noticed that your boarding style, around 2010, 2011, you kind of took it to this next level, man. You kind of went Super Saiyan. Started doing the paragraphs and just being ruthless to dudes, man. And like every thread would turn into a bunch of people trying to attack you. It seemed like, you know what I mean? So you did really well with that, getting the attention, the law of power.
Yeah, that was like a point of transition too, actually, because Bags wasn't always Bags. I mean, I started on the site like fucking harassed like shit when I started on the site. Like I joined the MBL and people were writing punchlines about like their opponent, and I would be the defining factor of what was considered bad. Like they'd be like, man, we know you're back. You be on some Bags shit. And I'm like, like read their verse and be like, So yeah, there was like a point where I just, what's funny? I think the point of transition, like 2011 or something like that, was when I had like initially started like working out. Because along with my confidence going through the roof, just the overall increase in my health boosted my creativity through the roof. So it was. When you're in like a state of depression, you can't really function at all. So, I mean, once I started getting myself out of that shadow, like it was so easy to just a higher tier. Like those fucking paragraphs and shit, like a lot of those were casted like right after working out. I would just be so fucking ecstatic and adrenaline rushing and fucking endorphins kicking in, and I would just be like, and just I would just have these epiphanies of these horrible things and stories and ways to just rip people's fucking throats out, and it would just onto the fucking screen.
Yeah. It's amazing what happens when we get out of the depression. But I mean, you gotta realize that you're in a depression. I mean, I sit here and I wonder, real talk. I sit here and I wonder how many people right now are boarding like low level or even high level depression. What's his name? Pandemic. I mean, like this dude has to feel like crap. You know who I'm talking about? I don't know where Anthony went. So Pandemic was a guy who supposedly went to jail for stabbing his dad because his dad told him basically to stop being a loser after he went and tried to harass his mother for her pain pills. These are not the actions of someone who is currently in the moment properly psychologically adjusted. You know what I mean? And I wonder how many people on the board are feeling like this. How many people on the board are about themselves or about their lives or about others? Probably more than we'd like to take account for. And then I sit here and God knows I wonder about all the people that got ran off the site. I wonder where they are. I wonder if they're okay. I wonder if they're alive. And I hope that they are. I hope that they're learning from it. I hope that their life is beautiful and blessed. You know, think about people like Masai or Diasic, people who just caught hell on the board. And, you know, a lot of that hell they brought on themselves. But still and yet, I hope that it didn't spiral them into a depression, you know? Hey, Anthony, are you back?
Yeah, my bad.
It's okay.
I won't make you repeat what you said.
Well, yeah, I'm just kind of, you know, no dead air. I just started talking about how I wonder about how many people on the board in times past and even presently are in some kind of level of depression. And I wonder if some of the people who got ran off the site, if they're still alive, you know, I hope they are. You know, I was talking about Pandemic and people like him and Masai and
Pan stabbed his dad. Remember when he stabbed his dad?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. I mean, these are not the actions of somebody who is psychologically well adjusted. This is you know, what would Freud say? I mean, you stab your dad with a knife. I mean, is there not anything more Oedipal than that? I mean, this shows some underlying issues. You know, I think what we did going back to those years, from about 2009 to 2011, we were finding our footing. And then from 2011 to about 2014, 15, everybody was just in war all the time. We were all kind of finding our niche, and it was just negativity and hostility and war the whole time, you know. And now I went back, and y'all are saying that I was the heel, but I always looked at it like y'all were the heels, and I was the righteous face trying to enlighten y'all and help you, you know. And I think that's why the gimmick worked real well. But I engaged in a lot of harsh things, and I said a lot of things that hopefully didn't hurt anybody too much in the long run. Around 2000. What's up?
Well, go ahead. I'll let you. Never mind. I'll let you finish your timeline, and then I'll give you mine.
Yeah, well, I was gonna finish it with around 2016, 17 is really when I think the people who were going to be main event characters, it was kind of established. You know, it's like we got put over well enough to where we're not going anywhere, and we are who we are. And I think maybe we got tired of just the constant war all the time. And now kind of there's that nucleus, if that makes sense, of who is there and what they stand for. So now I think we've kind of taken it to the next level where we're no longer fighting. I mean, you and I, like, you know, it all started with Phil saying we should do something funny. Like, it would be a great gimmick for you and I to find posts that we said to each other, you know, from years ago and read it. I mean, I think that'd be hilarious. But at the same time, it's like now it's 2017. You and I were both trying to move on. And I'm not saying that the spirit of battle is not still in me. It is, but I don't think that it's necessary anymore. You know, like if you just all of a sudden flipped and you were like, man, F you, Veritas, you know, this and that, I'd be like, well, F you too, yada, yada. But I don't feel that necessarily towards you or really towards anyone on the site.
Well, that was, I think, because we had discussed when I had left during Diode Gate for a little bit, and we talked. I think that was like maybe the first time that we had ever talked on the phone, and we kind of, you know, said like, you know, like what do we want to do, like how do we want to like move forward, and we talked about, you know, rivalry going, and like me personally, I think the first thing I even said, like, we could do it, like I would do it, but it would be uninspired.
Right. Right.
And because we've been there, done that. And then, I mean, even towards the idea of the 2016, where we have kind of established ourselves, I kind of feel like even complacent in the fact that, I mean, really, I don't see anybody or even formidable to the point where I perceive them as a threat, or even as like a worthy opponent to me. I mean,
yeah. I gotta say the same thing. Everybody, step it up. I mean, do you want to be mid card for your whole life? Shout outs to Destro. See what I did there? Is that a heel move, or is that just being honest? You know, I don't know, man.
I think another thing that I see going on too is people trying to breach top tier status currently using 2014 tactics. I mean,
right.
And there's having bloodbaths in there, just fueled by negativity. But like, what would have put you over in 2014 is just not going to put you over in 2017. I mean, we're doing different things. It's a different environment. It's different, you know, it's just a whole lot of different things going on. So, I mean, you got to move with the times. You got to adapt.
Yeah, something I've noticed, that's a really good point. Something I've noticed that we're starting to do, whether we realize it or not, and we can put the podcast over for this, is that this is the authenticity era. You know, if the attitude era and the ruthless aggression era was where, now it's like we're in the authenticity era, where with technology and with the way the game's changing, it's not enough to just sit there behind the keyboard and say, lols, you faggot, lols. It's like, now we're hearing your voice. We're seeing you in real time, how you think, how you operate, who you really are. So for me, like this guy, Alias, whatever his name is, this dude just like makes a thread, like, and all I wanted to do was just love him. That was like my whole, it's like, who are you? You know, tell me who you are. And I want my win for that battle that he never showed up in also. So it's just, I mean, this is the authenticity era. I think we can call it that. So that's how you're going to get over. You're not going to get over just calling people faggots on the internet anymore. That's 2014. It still has its place. If somebody's being a faggot, call them a faggot, sure. But I mean, we're looking at you now. We are hearing your voice. We're seeing your presence. We're seeing if you have natural charisma and in the moment intelligence, the gift of gab, so to speak. Do you have it? Because if you don't, I mean, you ain't going to be top tier. You ain't going to be main event, because that's what you're up against. So we're taking this thing to the next level. I think that's probably the best bit of advice I could give, because to agree with you, Anthony, I don't see anybody stepping up and really taking the reins. I don't see anybody trying to push the envelope. Shout outs to Joe Metz trying to do his podcast. I don't know if y'all have listened to it or not. Dude's a funny dude, man. I mean, that props to him. You know, props to for doing the beat battle. That's something new. That's something good. What else we got going on? I mean, that's really it. You know what I mean? That's really it.
The idea of the authenticity era, which I absolutely, I mean, I can see it happening. Kind of alludes back even towards a point I wanted to touch on with your timeline. The initial, the 2009 to 2011, getting our bearings and everything like that. Even so much as like establishing a strategy. At that point, it was just, it was actually from the idea that it was real.
Yeah.
I didn't have a lot of experience with it when I got into it, and I took everything at face value because, I mean, for the most part, I was being, authentic myself, at least at that stage.
Right.
It took me a while to kind of just step away from it and just be like, fucking what it seems. I mean, it took me a while. I think there's still people on the site to this day that have been on there for years that operate, themselves from it in that way. I mean, it definitely for that first 2 years was kind of like the whole idea that
was like real life. And I don't know if that's like exactly how I want to word that, because I think there are transcendences into the real world, but it's just, I was taking things at face value that shouldn't have been. So I think once I got away from that, I was able to really maneuver on the site with just free reign.
Yeah. It's such a paradox, because the more you get in touch with yourself in the real world, the better a boarder you are. And then the better a boarder you are, the more you're able to experiment with social dynamics and conversational tactics that bring benefit in the real world. And people don't get that. They don't do that. With this authenticity error, what this is now is basically us showing you Anthony and Murphy and, but still and yet very much Veritas and Bags. It is a character. It's not real, but at the same time, it's totally real. And if you can have a character where you blur that line, then that's the main event of WWE. I mean, that's freaking John Cena. It's
absolutely. And I mean, for me, the thing it turned into was, once I could identify it as being a game, you treat it that way. And it's a game where, I mean, it's like, figured like you're playing Mega Man. You got to fucking fight. You fight the end stage boss on level 9 for the first time. It's a fucking nightmare.
Sure.
Hits you with every fucking move you never seen. He's fucking jumps on a wall. He's gliding on the ceiling. He's shooting saws and fucking quadruplicate. And you're like, what the fuck? He murders you in like fucking 30 seconds. So then you got to go through it again, and you got to fucking memorize, when does the saw come? When does he jump on the ceiling? When does he fucking drag the hook down the wall and jump over the spike?
Right.
Right. So the more you fucking play the game, you identify where the fucking pitfalls are, and you adapt.
Yep. Hang on 1 second. I'm sorry to interrupt. Hang on. Vic just said he got to send him another invite, so we can get Vic back on here, and then we can let him get his shine on, and then we can start ending this podcast. This is what's his name? Oh yeah, this is episode 6, man. We'll be double digits before you know it.
Moving along.
Yeah, man.
Moved that topical forum out of the fucking spotlight. I like how they tried to sneak that shit in there when the fucking site got reset. Like,
right. And I want to put myself over once more in that Shade, week 4, due on Sunday, man. Where you at? You said you'd be on the podcast also. Still waiting to hear about that.
Do you think Do you think Muff hired C-Dad as a welder?
Man, I would love to have Muff on here, man, because that's another thing. When I was looking at all the old stuff, Jesus. There was a period where I was basically like, I was Squirrel Master from Half Baked. It's like let me protect you, like we'll just accept these pockets and I'll protect you, and like people would do that, you know what I mean? And like
I remember Gamble, when I was just burying Gamble just at the most ugliest of times. Didn't he like inquire of you? And because I remember you were like coaching him in one of the threads. You're like, good, now attack his father.
Yes. And like, man, look, I gotta say this. I'm gonna keep this anonymous, but like, people would private message me, and they'd be like, "Man, Anthony is, or Bags, he's freaking, what do I say? How do I?" And I'd be like, a few people, I'd give them a little bit of pointers, but I mean, usually I would just, anytime I would get that private message, I would sit back and just think, yeah, I'm winning this, ego. But I mean, you would get attacked by so many people, and then like other people would try to latch onto that to make their name. Now that was always, and I always felt like this was a legitimate beef that I had with you, and I would try to tell you. I would say, man, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel here. You know, like you're not going to get, your character isn't going to get any better just annihilating the lower card in squash matches. You know what I mean? And because you'd be taking on like 4 or 5 people with, you know, 30 or 100 posts, and they had no idea.
Here's the idea behind that, though. Here's where I was the face, though, because I would do it in such a beautiful fashion. I mean, that was the best thing about the young posters, is that you could fucking take them out with a fucking machine gun to the face. I mean, you're talking about like gladiator shit. Like, if I'm in the arena with an M16 and I unload it into somebody's face, I mean, I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna get put over as a pretty cool gladiator. So I mean,
yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I build my own reputation up. I mean, so you beat the shit out of the fucking little guys, and at the same time build up your own strength. So then, when I go against a Veritas, or when I go against a fucking whoever was bigger at that time, I mean, then I would have the built up reputation and the souls that I fucking collected.
Shang Tsung. Yeah. I mean, so do you ever worry that people really got their feelings hurt over this, and maybe it's negatively affected their life in the real world? Do you ever worry about that? Serious question.
It's a lot of times I have trouble trying to see other people's perspectives if they're different than mine. And I say that because I've taken L's on the site, like illusions as to otherwise, but they've never really in real life, negatively anyways. And maybe that's a testament to, I mean, like, I've been bothered on the site, but all it's ever made me do at the worst was get off the site, which to do. So I guess in my mind, if they were hoard off the site, then they probably went on to just live in the real world and, you know, flourish.
Right.
Maybe not.
Hopefully. Yeah. Shout outs to Muff, man. He's somewhere in Montana.
Right. Muff's driving a Lexus. He's got a fucking 8-pack abs. He's lives in, I don't know, fucking Minnesota. He's fucking, he's like some white chick's side chick, I guess. You know.
Yeah. I mean, living the life, man. Living the life. Good for him. There are some folks that I wonder about. There, you know, people like the Muzzle and Pharaoh's Army. But, you know, to be fair, I think that these were people who were probably unsteady to begin with. You know what I mean? It's if you have an underlying condition, you probably don't want to board. You probably don't want to engage in psychological warfare until you know that you're mentally able for the battle, because that can make things worse. I know that there was a period where Pharaoh was talking to me, and it was just he was legit psychotic, man. And I had to kind of talk to him, you know, as we're talking now, you know, real person to real person. Like, you need to go talk to somebody.
Yeah,
so you know,
he sent me some private messages before he kind of went way off the fucking. And I think he had said he was talking to you. He kind of said, I really forget how it started, but it was kind of just like, you know, finally I have like, I had a moment of clarity me that I need to get off the site, and which was, I don't think I was even probably being genuine. It was kind of just like a passing comment. Like, he said something weird, and I was like, take a fucking break. But
right.
I don't know.
Right.
It registered to him, and so he PM'd me, and he was like, you know, I struggle with like multiple personality disorders, but I think I'm finally. I think you're right. I think a break from NetSeas would be good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but then he never took the break.
Yeah. It's, you know, I guess the point in that is that if you need to take a break, take a break. Don't ever forget that it's either a game or it's practice. I mean, it can be both if you'd like. I've chosen to make this a tool for self-improvement, and I would hope that all of y'all would do the same. I sent Vic the message. I don't know where he is. There's no telling. Once again, we're trying, Vic. We're trying, brother. You know, it's we're kind of like half of a Voltron right now. It was cool seeing Phil show up here for a little bit. That was random. He's got the Wi-Fi, so that's cool. Anthony, is there anything else you feel like we need to discuss or talk about?
No, I mean, we kind of just, I was hoping, like you said, that we were going to get Victor, but he fell off pretty early. I hadn't really planned much. My laptop, so I can't blast the open mic with another freestyle reading. Back to that next week.
Let's see. I might be able to. Let's see. Gino, Slave No More. Edited. Twice as long now and more complete. Gino, Slave No More. Lyrics. I have a feeling this might be powerful here. And this will be what we end with, unless Vic pops up. And then we'll troll him for being the most unpunctual person that we know. Gino, Slave No More. Lyrics. Anthony, is your mind open? Are you ready?
I am ready to receive you, Gino.
All right, Gino. Here you go. Time to shine, Chris. Little Africa shouts out. Doormatted. A floored addict of pure madness. Who needs more acid? Hardwood floors of a storm fashion. I could pour ashes that dance and that could form fathoms. I prefer sadness, all by myself until earth crashes. There's a lapse in my memory bank, never repaid. I could demonstrate deadly with blades, delicate ways. Get your lemon shaved, lemon meringue, leverage, ole. I've got many ways to say many words, and there's plenty to say. A penny saved, a penny earned, throwing pennies away. Wow. I was never a big fan of any sense anyway. A drug addict broke, spending pennies to pay homage. So I stay calm. Though my crave calls, I'm a layoff. Not today, dog. It's bigger things I could trade for. Turn my slave off. Keep my head high and just play ball. Too many friends dead. Too many of my friends dying. The game's wrong. I've been through it all, seen quite a bit, and I still suffer. From a pill lover to harder stuff that could kill summers. Spending real hundreds just to go be out in real public. Nothing. Clean conscious mind I can call mine. And it's all mine. Doesn't belong to the call's lies. It's been all cries, been all tears for long years. Ain't no more fear, I'm all ears. Reformed spirit, I'll perform miracles. More lyrics with no ceilings. This ain't Hove, Wheezy, or Slim Shady. It's Chris, baby. And my new fix is this music that I've produced lately. Genocide. I
think he needs more acid.
Right. I'm going to say that I enjoyed that. I also enjoyed the Jungian synchronicity of talking about Hove's child with the no ceilings. That was interesting. This was really good, man.
But he's still a raging drug addict.
Yeah, well, according to this, he's getting sober, but that's the thing, it's to get sober, you got to connect with the higher power, man. You got to have something outwardly to live for, to get past the self-destructive tendencies. And his diatribe here, he is acutely aware of his destructive nature. He is acutely aware of what his addiction has cost him.
I feel like he's kind of glorifying it, though.
I like how we're being good cop, bad cop here. So do you think this is all just for attention? Do you think he has any desire to quit?
Well, we've seen that he doesn't. But I mean, even just from, let's just say we don't know Gino, the little African president. They were not familiar with him, and just go off this alone. I mean, he describes his addiction. I mean, he is romanticizing it entirely. I mean, it's like I was so vicious and swords, and I could rip the sun out the sky. Like he thinks that shit is dope. How fucking badly he was off in it. Like, so, I mean, I subconsciously, I don't think like that he would have any desire to quit. He just kind of has heard the idea of, you know, putting an addiction into music and replacing it with afflictions. But I mean, you could tell just by the way that he describes his afflictions that he has no, you know, need to get away from them. I mean, he loves them.
So, Chris, we'd like to have you respond to that. And after Anthony's eloquent diatribe there, I'm kind of inclined to agree. Now that I'm sitting here kind of looking at a few of these lines, it does seem that you're still glorifying it a little bit. One of the homework assignments I give the clients is that they need to write a goodbye letter to their addiction. This does not seem like a goodbye letter. It seems almost like, now that I look at it, like you had the best deal on weed, you know what I mean? Or that you did more than everybody else and it's hurt you so much, but you're still here. But it does still have sort of a glorifying tone. So go ahead and drop another one and keep it even more real. And we'll give you some time on here. And I'd love to have you on the podcast to talk about things. Shout outs to Sharp, who went to your hood and made it out. He rolled through in the Prius. You know, weighing $120. You know, he made it, Gino. He made it. So if he can make it, you can. We're still praying for you. In fact, Anthony, I think that our closing comments of every podcast need to be us, you know, urging Gino on for a better life. Is that something we can agree on?
I think, yeah, we should probably dedicate. And Infinity the Relic, I think, deserves like a nudge towards.
Yeah. I mean, well, he's interesting to me because he seems like he's kind of doing the whole mixture of Gino and like where he's just like, this is my life. This is, you know, this is how I do. But then again, he's still smoking weed a whole lot and working at a pizza place. And if that's Finney here,
he does what will never do, and he plays the victim a lot.
No, that's true.
Like, I'm a victim of my circumstances. Like, you know, I've tried to not be like this, and you know, this is just has to be, and you know, poor fucking me. Like, you won't see do that. Is fucking very content to roll around in the shit.
We have got to have a the first annual Dirt Person Conglomerate Symposium where we get Finney, Stricta, Gino, maybe a few others, and we just have a round panel discussion. I mean, we really need this to happen. So coming soon to a Nessynergy podcast near you, we're going to have the first annual Dirt Person Symposium. We need to make this happen, Anthony. We need to make this happen.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
The dirt is already in my nostrils.
Yes.
I feel weighed down by the dirt already.
Anthony, do you have any final closing comments? Any last words that you'd like to make, good sir?
I think we touched on a lot. I don't, you know, not much else that we won't be able to say next time. So, Netsees.
All right. Well, remember to like and subscribe. We love you and remember the future. Shout outs to Vic. Be here, homie. Love y'all. Bye.